what's happening? What's happening? Welcome to the fake truth thing. It's a show. I wanted to welcome you to the introduction part of the show, where I play little keys. Yeah, that's me. I'm playing it live. And this introduction section is usually it's a little more philosophical. I may quickly ponder the nature of existence. Or maybe it's just music sometimes, you know? I think that's okay, too.
Are you gonna tell him about the other voices?
I don't know if it's... I don't know if I could... I don't think I have time to get into the other voices.
But you're always trying to suppress the auto-tune voice. Let it be its own thing.
I honestly, I don't think it's ready. See, we're already out of time. The intro's already over.
Well, what the hell? When am I gonna get my chance? I want to talk.
So, yeah, anyways, that just happened. This is, welcome to the show. It's a show where, nobody actually knows what's gonna happen. It's a show where things get planned and then maybe done and maybe also not done. So, right, I like to keep this show as a reflection of my own sort of personal chaotic existence. Because I think that's actually, why try to make it all shiny and hide the edges and corners? Might as well just be real. Just be real with you guys. It's Sunday. I'm actually totally exhausted. This is the only day of the week I don't have to do official things generally, and I tend to sort of just collapse, completely just fall into the couch and sleep most of the day. But that's no excuse. That's no reason to not get on here and do the show. So, I want to welcome you to to my Sunday. Here we are. Here we are together. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the UAP channel because he's an awesome creator, fellow YouTube person here. And I was thinking, it's hard to kind of meet new people around the YouTube ever since we all got sort of quarantined and put in this dark shadow band black box. So I figured I would I don't know, give it a shot, reach out to some of the creators that I think I have some sort of commonalities with, and just ask them if they want to come on the channel sometime, and just see what's going on over here, this general chaos. But yeah, and he gave me a heart. I appreciate that, UAP. You're a cool guy. So maybe you will come on the show one day. Who knows? Who knows? But I did wanted to highlight this weird thing that happened when I posted the comment. He was talking about some other stuff, and this has never happened to me before. And it made me think, well, maybe is this exactly the kind of thing that we shouldn't be trying to do? Get our community to have sort of stronger bonds and connections, because that will increase the power of this truth community. So when I posted the comment, it quadruple posted itself, as you can see here. And for a second there, it was like I had quad post spammed his comment section, and I was like, bro, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. And I refreshed the page, and after the refresh, there was still two duplicate comments of the same comment, which made me really think that there was some sort of fishiness going on there. Maybe they're they recognize the danger of this comment trying to help build community, and they, I don't know, shadow banned it or made it look like it was spam or, and I don't know their operation, like how they're able to recognize the meaning of comments, instantaneously, but it must be through their just ridiculous gigantic amount of machine learning that they've been doing over all these years. They must be able to tease out meaning pretty quickly. So sorry. Yeah, I wasn't trying to spam you, bro, but yeah, I appreciate your work and hope you're having a good day. Anyways, if you haven't checked out UIP, you should probably do that. And I'm guessing you have at some point. I wanted to get in to this just really quick before we do the entertainment zone. Just a little quick history thing, because this was not blowing my mind, but I hadn't really fully processed this, sort of the evolution of the internet and its creation, and who was in charge of all that, right? So yeah, I've heard from many different places that the internet itself was generated and created at ARPA by DARPA scientists, and being used for sort of scientific reasons or whatever. Um, but it really was the guy that came up with this whole sort of concept of decentralized computing, was this guy Licklider. And right, you may know this already. You may not know this, but this guy, yeah, he was working for DARPA or ARPA at the time, and on not getting paid very much money, and but he was a psychologist, and he became really interested in the potential of computers and what they could do, and how they could be used, by the military, to convince and otherwise just kind of mess with people. And that's sort of that's what I was realizing. I think the legend is much more about how the internet was created to share sort of like information between different scientific places, right? They talk about it with CERN as well, that they needed to share so much data that they ended up, yeah, developing this way of sending the data over cables, so they wouldn't have to physically bring it to the other facility, and that was sort of the evolution of it. But right, as we see here, I don't know if you're reading this, how tiny your screen is, right? But let me just read this real quick. Tracking the origins of computing network at ARPA requires understanding what motivated the Pentagon to hire someone like Licklider in the first place. It all started with brainwashing, right? So this is this dude. He obviously looks pretty creepy and weird, but I guess you would be too if you spent all your time doing research and being in sort of dingy, lame, small government facility basements, doing your research. But yeah, he did it. He did a bunch of that research, and he wrote this paper that I guess blew everybody's mind about this concept of computers being decentralized, that it wouldn't be just one computer processing and then another computer processing, that you would somehow link them together, and that this would be a way to combine man and machine, that this is really the only way to have a symbiosis between computing machines and humans, and right. But his main thing was psychology. It wasn't really about any of this scientific research. Psychology during the Cold War had fast become a darling of the military. By the early 1960s, the DoD was spending almost all of its social science research budget on psychology, about $15 million annually, which I guess is not that much, even in 1960s dollars, but it's still more than the entire budget for military research and development before World War II. So they really realized that there was some huge potential here, and that there was something here worth spending time and attention on. So yeah, they ended up throwing cash at it, and it's just interesting that this other name that I haven't really heard in connection with the creation of the internet, the Smithsonian, who is right all notorious for sort of hiding and faking and the distorting history in general, that they would also be involved in this grand scheme of yeah twisting people's minds basically. Of course, the Pentagon's instruments and Smithsonian's panel recommendations were about more than just brainwashing. Bray wrote of applications ranging from persuasion and motivation to the roles of computers as a man-machine scientist-computer system. And yeah, it really is a super long time ago that they were even having these thoughts and ideas. And it really is still sort of coming to fruition. This all is in process. But it is all part of this overarching vision, I think, that they had all these years ago, and who knows how long the hope for this goes back, even right? Who and how Mr. Linkletter's ideas were seeded into his brain, and whether he was following some sort of larger grand agenda or not. But yeah, I don't know. Just from reading these couple lines, it seems pretty clear that the idea of the internet itself is this idea of seeding consciousness to the masses, a way of sort of unifying and linking up everybody's minds so they can have the same information and ideas. And yeah, I was reading this paper that he wrote. It's not that long, so it's worth reading and just checking out in general. The man computer symbiosis. And just to quickly check out this quote from this is like the first thing in the paper itself. The fig tree is pollinated only by the insect. This insect, the larva of the insect, lives in the ovary of the fig tree, and there it gets its food. The tree cannot reproduce without the insect. The insect cannot eat without the tree. Together they constitute not only a viable, but a productive and thriving partnership. This cooperative living together in intimate association or even close union of the two dissimilar organisms is called symbiosis. And yeah, that's what they were sort of hoping to set up. And it really is, it's working like gangbusters. They are crushing it with setting up the system. But it makes you realize and see why they would want to push this even further, because there's still sort of gaps in this symbiosis. There's times when we don't have a perfect connection with our machines, or times when the connection, can get severed or distorted in some way. And yeah, obviously that's 5G, and a lot of other emerging technologies are pushing us further on this path. But right, this concept, this idea, right, in this seminal paper about the internet, it's laying out that hive mind concept of the, that's us, that's the people here getting their basically their food, their what they need. And I guess it would be information. It's what we're living off, right? That's our food, and obviously this network can't survive without us. And I was thinking about that too. That's why they need us still to have the free speech and put out our own content, because it honestly would be way too much work to generate all the content that's being generated by regular humans. You just need to keep them sort of within ideological confines. Make sure they don't start talking about crazy stuff. But then the people will do all the work for you, generating the information, and it really does become this sort of symbiosis. I mean, we're basically there, but yeah, I can see how reducing latency and increasing connectivity will really make this all really work. And and this, just to link it to back to real life, this I was walking by this, and I thought it was sort of a hilarious relic of a bygone era that isn't even really that long ago. That I guess there's this like construction site. There's not really anything. Doesn't really seem like there's anything worth stealing. But it's got this sign, right? It's like, we're watching you, and it's like a private company. You can set this up too if you wanna go to the website and get this set up for yourself. You can also have a video card. And this is all part of that sort of network computing idea, this whole idea of surveillance. But this feels like ancient technology at this point. This is like a stupid way of even collecting information. I mean, you can see why, yeah, the technology that 5G is bringing, backscatter and other sort of human tracking elements, that would be a lot better than what they used to have here to collect the information. But all of it definitely, it seems tied to the same concepts, to the same push towards, yeah, what DARPA and those guys were talking about all those years ago. So we can feed each other, right? The security cameras need the humans to survive. And there it is. It's kind of lame, right? It's like they just put it in this parking lot. It's got some speakers to be like, step away from the low resolution, low quality cameras that are recording you. Right, but it definitely a necessary stepping stone. It's interesting in the paper he talks about the issue of storage, and that obviously, right, its memory is going to be a problem with computers, and we're not going to be able to keep all of the books. Like, we can't just put all of the scientific research on the computer, because there would never be enough storage space for that. And obviously we're still having storage issues now, but not the same storage issues that they were having in the 60s when they were using punch cards. Just a necessary technical hurdle to get over, to get to the next phase. But it really is this ideological aspect that's driving the whole thing. So that's my little spiel on that. Looks like we got a comment from somebody. This is interesting. Transhumanism. Max worked at NASA in the late 70s, and they told their employees the internet would be in everybody's homes. Yeah, well, something as big as the internet, it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of time and energy to make that actually happen. Now, if you are watching the show for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you. What's up? I usually do try to check out some of the news, although most of it's just really, really annoying and boring. Sometimes there is a hidden meaning that you can tease out of things you read from mainstream sources. I thought this was interesting. This is just from a day ago, and Daily Express is terrible with these kind of shock scientific articles. Antarctica shock, bizarre heat source coming from 3 miles below ice revealed. And as with a lot of these sensational, there's some really lameness in this website here. They say it's a big shock, it's a big crazy thing, and then you scroll down and get into the article, and it's like, oh, well, this dude apparently just watched Amazon Prime's Forbidden Mysteries, and narrator said in 2018 things that were happening. So I guess this isn't exactly breaking news. Just one of these Express authors managed to go on Amazon Prime and watch this episode. and it really is all about Lake Vostok's, which I guess I don't know. Maybe you have heard, maybe you haven't heard, but it is this crazy lake that is like 3 miles under the ice that has been preserved as pristine, sort of open lake, freshwater, I guess freshwater, and they're thinking maybe some crazy monsters are living down there. Cool, I don't know, race of ancient aliens or something. Probably just a whole nother major psyop. But yeah, the interesting part is that there's, where does it say this? There's really like barely any information in this article. It's over before you start reading it. But what they're saying, yeah, is that there's a bunch of air like above, and it's like captured air, and that maybe, yeah, who knows what's going on down there. But I did read most of this article and had a hard time figuring out what the shock even was. That, I mean, obviously it is a little warmer down there, and this is all like pretty old information. I think that Lake Vostok was, probably on top of some volcanic seam and getting heat out of the earth, and that could possibly be sustaining life, and especially if it's been stable down there for millions of years, that you could possibly get some pretty crazy stuff. And I guess they went down not to the actual lake, but pretty close, and were able to find some microbial life. So there is a good chance that there's some crazy stuff down there. There's a chance. You don't know, right? I guess that's a pretty good example of the news. Probably just fake lie, definitely being used as a distraction to keep you from thinking and working on more important things. And in the end, yeah, I guess we won't really know. How could we possibly know? How could we possibly know? Wait, let's get back to resolve. All right. So I want to get into Mr. Picard here because, yeah, I titled the episode that, and that's one of my things with the show. If I do anything, if there's one rule that I set for myself, it's to talk about the thing that I titled the episode. I'd say it's just sort of a rule I've given myself. So I don't know if you got my stupid reference. It's referencing that stupid song. Wait, I have it pulled up. This is almost worth it. Jagged Edge, Where the Party At, featuring Nelly. You know this song. It's a classic song. And this is a show that is now on CBS All Access. So who knows if you're actually watching it or not. But CBS is running a lot of this premium Star Trek entertainment. There was another show they had running for a couple of years, and now they've added this one sort of to the pantheon, getting Mr. What's his name? Ewan McGregor. What's his name? Sir Ben Kingsley. They got him out of Patrick Stewart. That's his name. It's Sir Patrick Stewart. They got him out of retirement to do this show, and yeah, just more of the same, pushing those ideas, those concepts, those important things that you really, really need to know about, right? And obviously, like it goes without saying, none of this would be possible without that glorious invitation made by Lick. What's his name? Lick Letter? Lick, the computer guy, right? Because now all these computers are linked together, all these devices, and we can all watch the same. You can push out the same entertainment to millions of people. and in effect, yeah, do that social conditioning, do that brainwashing that Arthur was talking about all those years ago. So yeah, we do our best. Obviously, my brain is getting scrambled by watching all this television, but I'm willing to, yeah, to make a little sacrifice to just get this out there. Talk about it. Lick litter, lick litter. That's his name. The show is honestly pretty boring and just. Patrick Stewart seems like he's really old and falling asleep most of the time. He doesn't move very well. Um, and for a show that's about space and fighting and running around, yeah, I just obviously I see why they picked him. It's going to get a lot of people to watch because it gives you the memories, but at the same time, yeah, he's not acting super well, and he's just kind of old. But that's not really what the show is about. The show is much more about this lady who he calls his daughter, but is really a cyborg. One of the, as they say, sort of holy grail simulacrums that all of Singularity is hoping to push towards, that you would actually be able to create a synthetic mind and place it in a synthetic body that resembled flesh and blood. So you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the synthetic life and the human life. And somehow somebody figured out how to do that in this show, and that's this girl. And yeah, but everybody's trying to kill her because uh, yeah, I guess a couple days ago, a couple years ago, they had some robots, some cyborgs, some fake humans that were working on Mars, and they just decided to get up and kill everybody. So they put a moratorium on that shit. They said no more cyborgs allowed. But this is sort of from the opening scene. They come in, these bad guys come and stab her boyfriend, who happens to have those weird reptile slit eyes, which I was thinking about, like, how many different shows and different ways do they have that same reptile dude with the slit eyes, and they're always like they open like a what is that called, vertically, like a door, not up and down. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See, my brain is at peak functioning at this point of the day and the week. But yeah, just like, why always with the reptile eyes? Why? What is it about the reptile eyes? And just, yeah, more general, just fear and death and destruction. This is a big part of the conditioning these days, that every single piece of entertainment, every major show that you see is going to have this sense of impending dread, this idea of a cataclysm coming soon, and that maybe the characters can do something to stop it, maybe not, but the concept is core and needs to be that there is some impending cataclysm or terrible thing that's going to happen. And yeah, bad things do happen. One of the daughters, the beautiful cyborg, she ends up getting blown up, and here we see Patrick Stewart, or his body double, obviously not Patrick Stewart, flying through the air, getting just generally owned. He appears in this, and this is also important for just the evolution of society, right? Patrick Stewart was one of the most like powerful, strong, important male figures in fiction, I would think, for many years, dating all the way back to this 1960s, right? How old is our Star Trek? It's been going on for quite some time. Also seeding a lot of these same concepts of just general hiveness. But in this show, yeah, he doesn't seem to be able to do anything. He's been fired from the academy, and it's just in general kind of bumbling and not doesn't know what to do, how to fix the problem, and is just, yeah, pretty frustrated. And just interesting to see that comparison between then and now, how they are obviously trying to guide society in in a different direction than they were trying to guide it back when Star Trek, when Picard was actually big and on TV. You know what I mean? He's sort of a shell of his former self at this point. And yeah, a lot of these symbols from Star Trek obviously tie into our grand mega narrative that all film and TV is teaching us and adding towards. Right? It really does seem like everything is part of some grand narrative that we're being told, because I mean, yeah, it makes sense, because if we're trying to get towards a destination and they already know what that destination is, then yeah, you're going to want to not waste any time pushing us in the wrong direction. Just have it all pushing towards the same direction. Right? So we see the black cube. This is the Borg. And then there's just sort of a whole sort of fight talk about technology, whether it's good or bad. And it's a, I guess, a core part of the whole episode or show. Yeah, what is technology used for? What is it good for? Should we have limits on it? Is there anything that we shouldn't let happen? Should we not let synthetic people be allowed to be existing? Who decides those rules and who enforces those rules? That's a big part of the discussion that's going down in the show. And a lot of this is enforced as with every other major big budget show. You see the same symbolism, the colors, the rapid dissemination of imagery that tends to have a similar effect on everybody that watches it. There's almost nothing you can do to protect yourself.
That's right. Do you see what she's wearing on her shirt? Could you see that symbol? It's a hexagon. Yeah, that's right, a hexagon on her shirt. Like the same one that everybody else has in the room. Like, if you wanna join the Romulans, you gotta get that hexagon on. You gotta join that hive mind. You gotta just be honest with yourself and be part of the hive. Don't make trouble. Don't stop.
Okay, so yeah, that's like the end of the show normally. But I give myself like this is the outro. This is like a little extra bonus room. I may sometimes just waste this talking total utter nonsense, but I may also try to get to some slides that I didn't make it to in the show because I was talking nonsense too soon. Yeah, you're sensing a general theme, right? So, right, I mean, that's what I was trying to talk about here. Everybody in the Romulan group is wearing the hexagon. They got the hexagon on their shirt, and I feel like that's all I ever talk about is the hexagon. It's everywhere, and it is so powerful. And yeah, it's infested all of our lives and our meetings. And yeah, the power is not to be underestimated. And I could see why they would not want people talking about it consciously, because that diminishes the power. But that's sort of what we're here to try and do, is win back a little bit, just a tiny little smidgen of mental control over your own existence. So notice the hexagon, think about what it means, and yeah, then move on. So right, so but we're meant, I guess, to distrust or not like the cyborgs. They just shoot everybody in the face, and that's not cool. But we're constantly hearing from Patrick Stewart slash Picard that his good old friend Data was a good cyborg, and that maybe if they got the rules right, they could figure it out, and that people shouldn't be so quick to be afraid of cyborgs and possibly embrace them onto their team and have them in their life and all that kind of stuff. So, because I guess in the end, this show ends up being one of those shows that is pushing us towards the singularity and about the sort of normalization and normalization of that concept of living with robots and having them be part of your life and not being creeped out by how close they're getting to us, because we're getting into that phase where Siri is not going to be Siri too much longer. I don't think. I think digital assistants are really going to take a big step forward in the near future, and a lot of this entertainment is priming us for that, to not be creeped out when Siri knows everything about us and is able to talk about that. So, and just also this cyclical cataclysm. We're shown images over and over again of this meteor strike, right? It's blamed on the cyborgs, but in the end, still the same images of death and destruction, the end of our planet, and our and just now the show's really over. That's really like super. Now we're into extra overtime. So I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to go crazy here, but I use red and blue in my intro because I see it all the time in these TV shows, that it has an effect on your brain when you have it on different sides of the screen. You got the blue over here and you got the red over here, and they're on very different sides of the electromagnetic wavelength eyeball spectrum, and it makes you look over here. You're like, what is that? I see red and I see blue, and my eyes going back and forth. And also, like, he's the bad guy, he's got the blue, and we're attracted to her. She's hot, so we got red on the other side. So obviously, we like her. But all of this stuff comes together. Like, she's actually hot, but also she's next to the red, and so we think about that. Now my chat's usually not like the chat is usually like glitching out, so I can't always see all the messages. But I see messages here from Ophelia Calkins. Wait, yeah, Calkins. Ophelia's been writing in the chat, and that's totally awesome. She says she loves my music, and that really is very meaningful to me. I appreciate that, because I've spent my whole life trying to figure out how to write music, how to make good music. I should probably do some shows on music, and just because there's a lot of esoteric meaning that you can tease out. It's hard just talking about harmony, structure, and all these sort of physical properties that go into music. Music actually, as I like to say, is another form of mind control. A very powerful one that can make you feel things instantaneously. But that's for another show. I really should get some sleep, probably. It's gotta be another crazy ass week. But I hope you're having a good time in your life, and that you're spending at least some of that time the way you want to, not the way other people are asking you to spend it. That's all I can really hope for myself. We'll catch you on the flip side, guys. Wait, I'm gonna hit that bumper again, just because.
Later. Keep it real. Have a good night, Ophelia, and the rest of you. Just, yeah, take it easy. Take it easy. Wait, get off my. Alright, black screen. It's over. Much love. No, I'm serious. Okay, press the stop button. Alright. Are you gonna stop the show? Just stop